Hi, it's What If Wednesday time with Susan Bennett Fisher and Martin Fisher, the co-founders of Body of Nine. What if we could get a handle on our shame, fear, and disappointment? Our bodies are mechanisms for us to experience our emotions. Something happens and an emotion happens, follows that experience. Now, Martin and I are not experts on emotion.
Right.
There are many great systems out there. We really like Carla McLaren's work for understanding your emotions. However, in our observation, in our research, we have noticed that in general, the head energies, 1 and 7 and 5, have more challenge, or go more unpresent when the emotion of shame is triggered in their bodies. For the chests, 3 and 6 and 9, on the spine between the shoulder blades, they struggle with fear as the emotion that takes them most unpresent. And then the bodies, 2 and 4, and then 8 on the spine, the sacrum, struggle with disappointment.
So first, we need to give a little disclaimer. As Susan said, we're not experts on emotion. What we're going to be talking about today is very much about what we've seen and based on our experience and our observation and our research. Your mileage may well vary.
Yes.
And it gives some insight into our process. When we discuss things on these videos, we spend a lot of time doing the research, making sure we both agree on most of the direction we're going, and we do here. And we don't talk about things unless we're pretty darn sure what we're talking about is accurate. We're not in this place where we're trying out ideas. What we're doing here is discussing what we've seen.
And the implications that we have witnessed and the ramifications in people's lives. And so it's very important also to recognize all of us have all of the emotions. Mm-hmm. And so shame, fear, and disappointment work for us in terms of describing those triggered places that take people unpresent.
Yes. And so my first reaction on hearing this, when we started discussing this over a year ago now, was, wow, I'm not sure. And then I started to think about it. I started to look back on my experiences. And as natural number 5, everything I experience really at the bottom resolves around to shame. Whether it's not having done a good enough job, whether it's not being seen, whatever it is, all comes back to firing off this little part of my body that goes, wow, that's not very good. And even just saying that starts to just tickle that shame thing. And the reason this is important, the reason that this is going to help change your life, like the rest of Body of Nine, is awareness.
Yes. So the first step to any change in your experience is to be able to turn on your observer. And that's what finding out your natural number actually gives you. This ability to turn on your ability to observe your own behavior from a neutral place. So when you find out your natural number, we give you a simple physical exercise that allows you to essentially straighten your posture and reactivate your natural number. So for me, when I want to reactivate my 6, I take a deep breath and I expand the intercostal muscles in between my ribs and I become more present. And the triggered emotions start to dissipate in the body. So each of the natural numbers has a specific exercise that they can do to help de-trigger when we have an experience that causes us to have uncomfortable emotions.
And as Susan said, and we cannot emphasize enough, it goes back to the body. Even the odd numbers that are more informed by their body and less driven by their body, the information you get from your body, you can try and override it with your mind. But that's just it, you're overriding a truth. And so accepting the wisdom of your body
and learning what those sensations mean. You know, the concept of dissociation, separating from your body so you don't have to deal with what's going on, is a really common response to trauma. Also, we just kind of do it,
yes,
even with little traumas, because those emotions become uncomfortable.
Yes. And our nurture, our parents are often, big boys don't cry and all the other things that we've been told since whenever. It's denying our reality.
And what happens is you lose this information that comes to you through your body. Now, Martin and I are not all that great either at handling our own emotions, but we do know that we need to do it.
Yes, and we do have a slight advantage in that we have the ability to activate all 9 natural numbers in our bodies.
Yes.
And there are some natural numbers, explicitly natural number 4, that makes processing emotion not effortless, but fun. And I've used the term fun deliberately.
And achievable,
yes.
yeah. So the first step in recovery, once you are triggered, is to activate your own natural number. And then to sit in that aware and awakened, bodily awakened state to enable you to be able to say, okay, here's what makes sense of that feeling in your body, that sensation, and fear comes often in the chest.
Yes.
The feeling of fear comes in the chest. The feeling of shame often comes through the head, and the disappointment often is experienced through the gut, the lower, the stomach area, the torso of the body. So just paying attention to where is that emotion can start to tell you about what's taking you out of the current moment. Because you can't be with other people, you can't function, you can't do things if you're in a triggered state.
Yes, and those of you that have seen our previous video where we demonstrated almost live, how to work through being triggered, your body is your best helper.
Absolutely
And
is.
one of the advantages, again, of having all 9 activated is that your ego gets to become a helper, not a protector. And you learn and can move into some of the other parts of your body and let the wisdom of your body do the work. Whether you process from the entity as a 5 or whether you process from deep inside as a 4, it's all working together. We are human organisms. And life is about experiences. It's about relationships. It's about anything that you want it to be about. But the tools of knowing how your body can help you, how we've been untrained almost to trust our bodies.
Yeah. Absolutely. So each of the natural numbers has a particular activation. You start with your own. You do your own activation. Then you can also learn to do the others and bring in what comes with the benefit of those activations. So we talked about 4, and we've talked about it many times, but 4 is how do I go into my body below those emotions, allow the body to process through the feelings so that you can make sense of them and you can come into alignment with, what is causing that trigger, what is happening, how do you, it's almost like your body metabolizes the emotions and then creates a space for you to understand what's happening.
You might try a simple exercise when you're triggered. Once you can get out of the place that's triggering you, whether it's a discussion or an experience or a memory of something, go somewhere where you can be out of that particular environment and then gently hold your lower abdomen. Become aware of what's inside where you're holding.
Yes, and then close your eyes and breathe. And 4s talk about, they breathe really differently than the rest of us. And they talk about breathing in the world. And as they breathe out, they actually drop in and down. So both the in-breath and the out-breath take them deeper inside. And any emotion takes time. The body takes time to deal with. So if you're going to process into those challenging emotions, it's very important to have a space of time where you do not have to do anything or respond to anyone. And Martin's still processing over there. It's beautiful.
And perhaps one way to achieve this excellence in bodily processing emotions is to practice, even if you're not in a trigger state. Giving yourself 2 or 3 minutes initially in the morning to sit down, place your hands on your lower abdomen, and practice slowly, and visualization works for some people, and I visualize a gentle seashell floating down through the water. You come to rest on the seabed, and the seabed is my root as a natural number 4. And you won't get there immediately. It's completely normal for it to take maybe even days, weeks of practice to get to that place where it's so wonderful and warm and safe and secure and processing and everything's okay inside. So don't expect it to be instant if you're natural number 4. Hopefully it will be. And it may come to you quickly, but if you practice just a couple of minutes every day, then you'll be able to get through the world and life and being intrigued, no matter where your natural number is, more, I don't want to use the term easily, but more completely.
And the ability to process through our emotions and find that wisdom is the way we actually come into alignment. And that's what fours teach us. Very powerful, very important to spend some time with yourself. A lot of people, when they first start that, they might get stuck here, or different parts of their body as they're trying to. Also, the head will spin. So it's just about letting all that go and dropping inside. It's essentially a form of meditation.
Yes, very much so.
And for meditation, that internal focus is about the processing through our emotions. Sometimes you can't even start that until you've cleared your head. So 5 meditation, some of the mindfulness meditations, the clearing of the head, the quieting of the mind are very good to start with. So you can connect up, stretch up, pull up the side, the frontalis muscles on the side of your head, and then do whatever your favorite mindfulness meditation is, if you have one. This is all about developing practices to support your ability to be present and to recover when you get triggered. For 3, 6, and 9, fear is most easily recovered by breathing. And so whatever your favorite breathing practice is, it's one of the beautiful things about Body of 9 is we're not going to tell you how to do you. We're going to tell you where things reside in your body and then have you pick the things that work for you, because any modality out there that works for you is great. But it's about this awareness of where's my strength, where is my power coming from?
And how to use your body.
And how do I de-trigger in order to be more present? So I have choice. Because that gives you choice, and choice gives you freedom. And that's what this is all about.
Yes.
The freedom to be you.
Yes, life is a physical sport.
Yes, and you have to practice to
You
get
have
good
to practice
at it.
to get good at it.
Yeah, and in different circumstances, you need different tools
Yes.
and different skills. And you don't wake up whole and finished. We come into the world as babies that have to learn everything.
And at the same time, your nature when you come into the world as a baby is complete. And
Well,
then
the skills and what's going to come with your natural number are already
yes,
there.
Exactly, yes.
They're already there.
Yep.
Which is really quite amazing if you think about it.
We are amazing entities, instruments, people, bodies, however you want to describe this. We are amazing creations.
You know, when you think about how the baby comes in and the purity of holding a baby, the purity actually feels like this access to source that comes through our natural number when we're really present. And then over time, the trauma from experience and the challenge of dealing with emotions or the learning of how not to deal with them, well, you know, we develop these habits that take us away from that purity of who we are.
And we're pretty sure, based on sort of the energies that we can feel, that the natural numbers are there in the fetus before birth. And there is some quite compelling evidence that the energy of your natural number is the last thing to leave your body.
Even after your heart stops functioning.
And your
So
brain
you're,
shuts down.
yeah, this is so much, this is the nature that's built into you, and it can be used to manage your nurture, the impact of your life on you, your experiences, your way of being, your habits. Those are all the effects of your nurture. This gets you back to your nature so that you can use your nature to drive your choices.
There is a small chance that the way that fear and shame and disappointment show up may be slightly different for each of the 9 natural numbers. Certainly are for the 3 in those areas, but we don't have enough information to do that. Instinct tells me perhaps they are a little different, but we really aren't in that place to be able to find out ourselves, because whenever we get triggered, we don't get triggered as a different natural number, we get triggered back to ourselves.
Yes, and he sure deals with shame, and I sure deal with fear,
Yes,
so
right.
It's pretty consistent.
Yes,
It's not that 5s don't get afraid, 5s do.
Yes.
But when you go unpresent, you're not actually afraid of being afraid.
No, I'm not afraid of being afraid. I'm just afraid of being ashamed. Yeah.
Yeah, you're afraid of being shamed.
Yeah,
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
And if I'm disappointed, then I'm disappointed in myself because I
Because
feel
you
shameful.
feel so shameful.
So yes,
Yeah. So always, it's about where it goes back to.
Because, yes, everybody has disappointment. Everybody has fear, and everybody has shame. But
Yes.
where does it go back to? How does it really make you feel?
Right. So for me, if I feel shame, it makes me feel afraid.
Yes.
Which is the other way around for you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
very interesting.
Yes.
And so just pay attention to how do you feel when something happens that kind of sends you back to that shitty place in your, we all have that shitty feeling. There's a feeling where things are just not right and you know it and you're like, what has happened? I was in a good mood a few minutes ago. What happened?
Yes.
So really learning to pay attention. For me, it's like a pulling, constricting feeling in my chest.
And I just get nauseous.
Oh, where do you get nauseous though? Do you get nauseous in your head?
No, the shame thing is it's a visceral sensation.
Yeah.
It's not a thinking sensation. It's not even it's above an emotion. It's a physical response.
Yeah, and oftentimes you don't even recognize that it's happened.
Yes.
And so there you are sitting in your favorite emotion.
And that's why we call it triggered, because you're literally kicked out of where you were into this new place.
Yes, and then how do you recover? First you have to notice,
Yes.
oh shit.
Yeah. Toughest thing to do
Yes.
is to notice, well, it's very easy to notice you've been triggered. It's very hard to respond from where you were
Before you were triggered.
before you were triggered in this whatever place you're at, and all of a sudden, boom, you're somewhere else.
But a good thing to notice is, are you getting defensive? If you move into a place of defensiveness, you are probably triggered.
Yes. If you move into a place where you can't think straight anymore, where you're just reacting and you're not being able to have a interaction because everything is reaction, then you're probably triggered.
And if your emotions are escalating, if they just keep escalating in whatever direction they started to head in.
If you get louder and louder or quieter and quieter, whichever way you go.
Right,
Yes.
whichever way you go. Neither is better or worse, by the way.
And yes,
It just is.
It just is. And
Yes.
if you start sort of feeling a physical response, fight or flee, that's also a sign you're probably going to be triggered.
Yes.
And these are not all bad signs.
No, they're actually really good. It's really important
It's
to
a
listen to
question of
them.
degree to some extent, yes.
Yeah, and then how do I recover?
And how do you get out of that environment?
Yes.
And again, it's about noticing. And part of this conversation that we're having with you today is about letting your body get pre-programmed, muscle memory, if you will, to be able to have your body say, hey, pay attention, Martin, all these things are happening, and you said that was about triggering, so I think you might want to be aware you can start to get triggered, and you got a choice, Martin, you can either get triggered, and we'll do that, or maybe you can calm down.
Use your body.
And lose your body. Use your body because your body's talking to you.
Yes. Don't lose your body.
Don't lose your body because that's the exact thing you don't want to do, because that's what
Exactly.
happens when you get triggered. You get pushed far out of your body or far into your body, depending on what your natural number is, and you get to this place where you're not communicating with yourself. And if you can't communicate with yourself, well, guess what? You can't communicate with other people very well either.
Yes, and I want to go back to our disclaimer in the beginning. We're not therapists. I am a trained relationship coach, but this is not about working with people with your traumas. If you have trauma triggers, absolutely work with a trained therapist to help you with that.
And even if not, if you want to work with a trained therapist, good for you.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
we do.
We do, yes, absolutely. And so, if you work with a therapist, you might want to have a conversation. Oh, by the way, I've heard about this thing called Body of Nine and blah, blah, blah. And then I suggest perhaps the therapist getting in touch with us because we can help them understand
How to
that step.
support you better.
Yes.
Yes.
We want your therapists to be able to astound you about how great they are.
Yes. And we are starting a partner program for therapists and coaches, relationship coaches. If you are one of those, get in touch with us. We're looking for a few pilot partners
Yep.
to get this started in the next couple of weeks. And we truly believe that healing practitioners out there all over the world would be very much helped by understanding.
And if you go to see a therapist, wouldn't you like your therapist to know your nature, not just your nurture?
Yes. It's a great starting place. It's a great place to go back to, because the balancing of that nature back into the place of leadership in your being is really one of the ways that you can recover from trauma. Well, I think that's great for today.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Have a great week. And
Pay
we'll
attention to your emotions.
Yep.
Shame,
And-
fear, and disappointment. Are you present?
Am I present? And also, give yourself a little time in the morning. Practice supporting yourself and using your body to process your emotions. It makes life so much more rich, even if you're not natural number 4.
And we will be adding more recovery exercises. There's already one on the channel. Check out the new ones as they come on. If you subscribe, you get reminders of new content. And we are developing 2 to 3 new pieces, at least up to 4 a month, 5, 6 a month.
And yeah, we'll be doing some sessions on different types of meditations in the very near future.
Yep.
And we'll be posting those and give you a way to go through all 9 centers in your body. And if you do that daily, you will be amazed how much your life will change in a positive way.
Yes.
Knowing your natural number or not.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.